The next thing that we're going to do is after you sewed this U and you have this nice 5/8 inch seam. Look how straight I sewed that, guys. That was great. If you do this, you get a 4. Okay, and then I took the pins out. The pins are all out, and so now we're going to sew a lowercase u. I call this the uppercase U. Now we're going to sew a lowercase u right here between the double notch and the triple notch. Now the reason we do that is because this is the stress point where if you bend over or whatever, you might split this spot out and you'll get a hole in your crotch of your pajama pants, and you don't want that. Your brother would love to laugh at you if you did that. But we don't want that, so we're going to do what we call a reinforcing stitch, which means we're going to do another straight stitch just about an eighth of an inch away from this one, so there's 2 stitches right together that make it really, really strong so that you won't ever split a hole in your crotch of your pajama pants right there. So we're going to put this underneath the machine again, and we're going to get the double notch or the triple notch. It doesn't matter which way you've got it on under your machine. It just has to be at the notches. And we're not going to start up here. We're going to come down and start right here at this notch. And we're going to lay the notch underneath the presser foot, and we're going to line this seam up with the inside edge of the presser foot, which makes an 1/8 of an inch seam, which brings those 2 seams really close together and makes it really strong. So we're going to sew, oops, let me get that thread underneath that presser foot. It came out. So we're going to put it back in the presser foot, and we're going to line it up. So can you see what I'm doing? I'm lining this stitching line up with this inside edge of the presser foot, which you should know from our other assignments that makes an 1/8 of an inch seam. And we're going to do a little back stitch because we always start and stop with a back stitch. And we're going to follow that on the inside edge of the presser foot. And now we don't have to have it pinned because it's being held in place by the last stitching that we did. So it's a lot easier to sew up because you don't have to deal with the pins. Now when I get close to this seam again, I'm going to lift it up, and I'm feeling with my underneath hand to make sure that I have flattened that seam allowance so it doesn't buckle back on me like that and get a big knot again. So I'm making it, I stop and straighten it, make sure it's nice and straight, and then I just follow that stitching all the way around to the other notch. And I'm watching it all the time and feeling under here and up here to make sure I didn't catch any other fabric in the stitching. And then I'm right here to this other notch, and I'm going to sew somewhere into the other notch, it doesn't really matter, and do a little back stitch. And now I have a double 1/8 of an inch seam, a little close by each other, 1/8 of an inch apart in a lowercase u. Let me cut this so you can see it really good so you know that you're doing the right thing. Okay, so here is the uppercase U. Trying to make it so you can see it on the video. And here's the lowercase u, and they're an 1/8 of an inch apart all the way around, right there. So you've got 2 U's, and they're not sewn to the other part of the leg. Then you're going to clip these threads really close by putting your scissors right next to, laying them right on the fabric and cutting it off so there's not any little thread at all. See how it's really tight to the fabric? And you do that by turning your scissors flat and laying it right on the fabric. Don't cut your fabric though, just cut the thread. And we're all done with that step.